Hi guys, welcome back to round 3 of our locals experience here. I'm super excited for this matchup. This round I'm playing against Brian Peterson. He is the owner of Game Grid Spanish Fork. He's great. He's had a pretty extensive past playing competitively with Yu-Gi-Oh! And he's just one of the coolest guys that I know. He and his family are awesome. Really makes coming to locals awesome. So if you're ever in Utah, I recommend stopping by Game Grid Spanish Fork. They have a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, but they also do a bunch of other card games. You got Magic, Star Wars, Union Arena. I think they have a Pokemon stock as well, and so they are awesome. So we're going to go high roll here. I roll a 7, he rolls an 8, and so Brian will be starting off. We'll see what we have here. In my opening hand, I have Cupsy, Cookie, Ogre, Bell, and Fua, which is a pretty good starting hand. He's going to start with Rahu. I'm going to chain Fua here. Try to get some free draws off. Brian's going to see if this is worth interacting with, and it is. So he hits me with an Ash. That's going to keep me off any draws here, which is unfortunate. I feel like Fua's pretty good into this matchup, just because, especially if they lead off with Rahu. I'm going to get at least one draw. He could probably get a couple sets and call it a day, you know. That's the nice thing about DRACOTAIL is he can play pretty low to the ground. But he's going to send off a Lucius and a Valor and an Ogre. So he had a pretty cracked hand right there. He's going to summon the Arthalion. Arthalion's going to target the Lucius and the Ash. And then the Lucius is going to go ahead and set. We have a pretty good set of hand traps here. He's going to set the Ketu, Ketu, whatever you call it. So he's going to normal the Lucius. I'm going to Ogre here, just so that way we can keep him off of seals. Just the hand that I have playing into seals is going to be pretty rough. It's mainly because I do a normal summon and he just bounces it right back. If I have Cupsy, it's not too bad. I can still play through it. But he's going to add a Phimina, and then he's going to go Ketu, DRACOTAIL, add a Malulu. And so that's a pretty cracked hand here. He's got 4 cards in hand. He's got the Malulu, the Phimina, and the Ash, and 1 unknown. Whittling away our interactions here, so. Oh, I guess I wouldn't have needed to Ogre that Lucius anyways, mainly because he's under Rahu, so he wouldn't be able to go into seals. But he's going to go Phimina. He's going to send off a King of the Swamp and the Malulu for a Dragoon, and then he's going to set Flame, which I believe is the spell negate. If it wasn't for that Dragoon, we'd be in pretty good shape here, just because when he flips the spell negate, it wouldn't be too bad. We're going to start with Obedience Schooled here, and then he's going to go Flame to negate. I'm going to go Spell, and then he's going to go Dragoon, discard the Ash to negate the Ghost Spell, which is a pretty good play. He's got 1 card in his hand, so summoning the Cupsy and then adding, it's nice that he used the Ash as a discard. But we're going to add Surprise here. And so he has the 1 draw. I'm not sure what that draw is going to be, just because that's the nature of a draw. Apologize about the glare here. I go ahead and place the Mignon off of the Snatchy, and then Mignon target Cupsy to add back, or to summon back. Dragoon's at 4k, Arthalion's at 3k, so they're pretty beefy bodies. So I'm going to have to out the Dragoon this turn, or I'm not going to be able to out it ever after this. Just because once it hits 5k, the highest body that I have is going to be 1600, even with 6 bodies on board. That's a 3k boost. That's leaves me at 46, and that's not going to be enough. So we go ahead and summon out the cookie, lower the Arthalion by 1,000, and then we're going to go into the Lollipo, or the Cupsy. Cupsy's going to add me Cookie and Lollipop. We're going to discard the Cookie. We'll link off into Snatchy here, and then we're going to synchro into the Cookie, just try to get some bodies on board. Lollipo is going to summon back 2. We're going to bring back both of the Cookies here just because they're bigger bodies. We're going to special out the Lollipo, take a look at the graveyard. We're not going to use its effect. Nothing really worth it at this point. Maybe if I out the Arthalion, I can shuffle it back or banish it, so that way I keep it off from coming back. At this point, I'm not going to out this Dragoon. Spoiler. I just don't see the line here. After the game, Brian says Typhon is the way to out it, which honestly is not that bad. I'm not locked because that Obedience Schooled got negated, and so I have enough bodies that I have enough follow-up. I really should have just dropped the Dragoon here after swinging over the Arthalion. Swing over the Arthalion here. He takes some damage, and then we set one, probably just pass it over. This is me not knowing how to do math at all. So we get there eventually. But yeah, we really just we should have made Typhon, drop the Typhon, bounce the Dragoon, and then call it a day. But we're just built different. And by built different, I mean we're built poorly. We're going to link off into Snatchy, set 1, and then pass it over. I'm pretty sure he just goes Dragoon, beat my cat in with the Dragoon, and pass it over. He goes to battle. So he goes Dragoon, swing into the Cupsy here, or whatever, the Lollipo. I take 800, he passes it over. I'm going to draw into Lollipop. We're just kind of looking through, seeing what our options are, and Typhon was really the way to go last turn, but now, because he hasn't summoned multiple times, or from the extra deck multiple times, and I am going to be locked out here. We're going to use Yummy Surprise to summon from the graveyard. We're going to go Lollipo. where we special the Lollipo. Yeah, not really an out here. Just me flipping through my deck a bunch of times. Maybe, I don't know, the anti-Dragoon tech magically appeared. But that is going to be it for game 1. It really comes down to having Typhon. But now we know. If I ever see a Typhon or a Dragoon, I'll use that against them. So here I'm going to be looking in my side. I'm going to be siding in the Retaliating Sea package. So that's 2 Retaliating Seas, 1 Contact. And then I'm going to be siding out 2 names, as well as the Fuwalos. And then we're siding in those 3, and then Talents and Called By. And we'll see how it goes. Going first shouldn't be too bad. I feel like I'm kind of learning how to play DRACOTAIL on the side as well. So I kind of understand what the deck is supposed to do, which is nice. DRACOTAIL is a really interesting deck. I like that it just feels low to the ground. Everything is just really layered. The interactions that it sets up is really layered. You're not looking at like a full board necessarily. Typically you're looking at 2 traps plus one or 2 set spells, and then you got the Arthalion or maybe the Gulamil or Heretics. So I'm gonna go first here. He's gonna go Perulia. Perulia is going to be fine. We're alright with that. So we're going to start with Obedient Schooled. He's going to tag into a Fua to try to get some draws. I'm going to chain Called By here. And then the chain's going to resolve. We're going to summon the 3 names and go from there. We're going to go link off the Cupsy, go into Snatchy. Snatchy's going to place... We're going to place a Croaky. I've sided out a Croaky, and I feel like every time that I've sided out a Croaky, I just always regret it that game. So I don't think that it is going to be a target for me to take out. So we're going to link off the Snatchy and the Cookie for Cupsy. Get some names in my hand here. And then we're going to discard the Ogre. Just so we keep some names in hand, just for some follow-up. At this point, under Obedient Schooled, we're not going to be able to make Herald on our turn, but we're going to link off the Cupsy into Snatchy, and then Snatchy and the Lollipop to go into Lollipo Yummy Way. We're going to summon back 2. We're going to summon back the Cupsy and the Cookie, and then we're going to link those guys off into Starham. Starham, we're going to discard the Cupsy, and then we're going to summon Cupsy. Cupsy is now treated as a tuner because of Starham, but because it's summoned as off of a Synchro monster's effect, I can either draw or add. We're just going to add the Yummy Surprise here. Don't really need to roll the dice and draw into like another name or the field spell or something. So we'll add the surprise, and then we're going to link off the Lollipo for a Snatchy. And then we're going to pass it over here. And so Brian's going to pass here. We're not going to do anything. He's going to go draw phase, go Perulia, and then draw phase Fua. So from here, we're just going to straight up link off into Herald. So we're just going to hard make that Herald here. So we're going to activate the surprise and summon back from the graveyard here. We're going to summon the Snatchy. We're going to Snatchy effect to place the field spell. And so we're placing Mignon. And then we're going to go a Croaky here, targeting the two Synchros to shuffle them back, and then bottom deck the Croaky. And then we're going to go Mignon, summon back the Cookie. And at this point, we're not going to try to play and give him more draws here. But we're going to go to battle phase, take a good chunk of damage. We're going to set the Imperm and then pass it over. I know some builds of DRACOTAIL will run Nib. Obviously, I don't have to be afraid of Nib with that Herald, but I'm pretty confident that I'm not going to run into any issues here. So he's going to go Rahu to Fuse, and then he's going to go Phimina. I have the Herald on the field, so he's going to have to banish a ton of stuff out of his hand. But he banishes the Blackluster Soldier and something else in his hand for freaking Dragon Master Magia, which is absurd. Prior to this game, Brian was like, yeah, I got a spicy tech that won me like my last round. I'm like, okay. I thought it was Dragoon, but it turns out it was Magia. So he goes into battle phase, and I'm like, okay, that should be fine. So I have the out, fortunately. We're gonna go Imperm because the Magia can be targeted. And so we go Imperm targeting the Magia. He's gonna negate, and then he's gonna go I'll chain Ogre to pop, and then Herald to pop and negate, and then he hard makes the Tyrant Dragon here. Or, I mean, not hard make, but, you know, off of the Magia. Which still isn't too bad here. We're just gonna go Snatchy, pay 100, go into the Cookie to book the Tyrant here. So, and then he just scoops it up. So that was crazy. That Magia is huge. I definitely don't beat over it here. But that Imperm, Ogre, Herald was perfect. So we're pretty stoked about that. So, siding into game 3, we are gonna swap out a couple of things that we put in going first. So we're gonna keep in the Retaliating Sea package. It's nice to see that all of them are, you know, stuck together. We're going to side out the strikes, I'm pretty sure. Or the Solemn Judgments, and put back in the Fualoses. Los Fualos. And we'll just give this a couple shuffles here. Brian had mentioned that was his second time making that today. So apparently with that Blackluster tech, the whole thing is you just have to draw into it in order to make the Magia. Because the Magia is, I think, a dragon, so you can just do Phimina plus the Blackluster Soldier, and I think you have to have King of the Swamp as well. So Brian is also kind of, just because he's had a ton of experience with Yu-Gi-Oh! And stuff, he also gets called off to the side for judge calls here and there. So that's where he's at right now. We're just going to give this a little shuffle. And then I'm going to give his deck a little shuffle. He's got, I think it's like 45 card double sleeve, so it's just massive. I'm just not used to having something like that. I'm just not a big fan of double sleeving. I double sleeve my extra deck just I protect the sleeves there. But Brian's gonna opt to go first here. And that is a hand of hands. He's got the Lucius. I'm going to hang on to the Ash for the traps and the Imperm for the Arthalion when he inevitably goes into that. And then he's going to go 5 men out of Fuse. He's going to send off 2 from his hand. It looks like he's sending Urgula and Malulu. And then he's going to go Arthalion here. So we will Imperm the Arthalion. He's still going to get his 2 sets here, which isn't that detrimental. He obviously loses out on hand advantage. But he's going to place the Ketu and the Flame. And then now he's going to go here into Seals. I assume because he didn't set the Rahu, he has it. So he's going to go Ketu, add. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So he's adding Pan here. And there's the Rahu. I'm thinking if I just Ash this here, but I don't think it is correct. I think I just gotta hold it for that Flames, or at least the next trap that he'll place. Just because with my hand, I have three names, which is not great. Just because if I normal summon, he just seals bounces or does the tail or the horn to bounce back the normal summon, and that is it. So I believe the writing's on the wall. I'm not gonna be able to play this. If I open an obedience school, that's gonna be huge. The surprise is okay. It at least lets me get a summon out of my hand here, but we're gonna go normal Cupsy and see if he's gonna interact with this here. So I know he has the 2 traps. He's got a pop, and he's got the seals here. I know if I add one of the field spells, I'm not going to get it to work just because I'm going to be facing down the spell negate. And I do believe I had sided out the Akroki, which I am not a fan of. I really feel like you have to play it, and I think it's just really nice to have as another point of interaction. We go Almirage here instead of the Link of the Snatchy. Seals is going to bounce this here. I realize ideally, I feel like the play here is go into the Snatchy, place the Akroki, and that way, if something gets bounced by either the Seals or the Horn, I can at least get an activation off that, and then it forces him to interact with the Flames. But also he has the Gulamel to pop the field spell as well. And so he goes Horn to negate the surprise. I'm going to hit it with the Ash there. The issue here too is he has that other set trap, which doesn't have to target one of my guys. And so he's able to just target the Gulamel, and then if I can't respond to it, which I can't right now, then it's just gonna get it just gets popped anyways. So I scoop it up there. He fuses off into the Arthalion, which is just gonna bounce back my guy, and that is it. So he opened crazy here. He had the Malulu, the Lucius, the Phimina, and the Rahu. So that's just nuts. Because if he summons the Lucius and I go Imperm, then he just tags it out with the Phimina. So it's Lucius is typically a pretty good hit with Imperm, but I just I had a feeling that he had Phimina in hand, which he did. So sometimes they have it. Sometimes just that's how it goes. But I really do enjoy playing against Brian. I hope you guys had a good time watching that replay there. Brian's the GOAT. Like I said, check out his his store if you're in town, or check out his website. I'll put a link down in the description as well. But we'll keep going on with this. Like I said in my last video, round 2 was I was on the feature match of a local stream, and I had the I'll put the link down to that stream as well. And then next week we have a case tournament on Saturday that GameGrid is hosting. And so I am probably going to skip locals on Wednesday, but I think I will make another couple of videos talking about Worlds coming up here. So thanks for watching. Hope you had a good time, and we'll catch you on the next one.